Hi, everyone. Miss Melinda here, your spiritual worker from Miss Melinda's Metaphysical Services.com, here to bring you our weekly live spirit chat, which is a chance for you to participate in a group coaching session and get your questions answered about all kinds of things related to your spiritual practice, your spiritual development, and your spiritual path, including but not limited to developing your psychic abilities, developing your intuition, your meditation practice, connecting to spirit, connecting to your guides, doing dream work, and so forth. Thanks for joining, everybody. Lots of people here on Instagram. Nice to see you. Looks like I have a couple of new people on YouTube. Thank you for being here. I haven't done a live chat in about a month, I was noticing as I was logging on today. So I took a little bit of a break and I'm happy to be back. For those of you who are not familiar, we do these once a week. Hi, Yadi. And from now on, they're always going to be on Sundays at 3 p.m. United States Central Standard Time, Sundays on Instagram and YouTube. And I always take early bird submissions for questions through Instagram. So if you follow me there, then you'll see the notification, the posts in my story, allowing you to submit early questions that I will address at the top of the hour in these spirit chats. So I do have a list of questions to address today. And these are questions that were submitted last month when I canceled a live session, as well as new questions that were submitted for this session. So if you've submitted questions in the past and they haven't been addressed, then they're going to be addressed today. Well, welcome. There are some people saying first time seeing me live on YouTube. Welcome aboard. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Lots of people on IG that I like to say hi to. I like to say hi to everybody, but I see some familiar faces. Hi, Linda's daughter. Thanks for being here. Hi, Hank Russell. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So I'm going to start out with some of my announcements, and then I will move on to addressing these questions. And then at the end, I should have time to take some additional questions. So my announcements coming up on Tuesday, the 30th, is the new moon. For the new moon, I am performing a pro bono service dedicated to Saint Martin de Porres. And for that service, I am petitioning for forgiveness of racial and social injustice in the United States. I'm petitioning for forgiveness and healing and equality. And this is a free service that is open to the public. And for those of you who have not already participated, if you are not a patron and if you have not already participated, then you are welcome to participate. It is free and open to all. You can contact me via email, inquiries@missmelinda.com. I will include your name in this service. So contact me there. So, okay, the end of the month or the beginning of the month is coming up. And in August, for my group services offered through Patreon, I am offering a special offer, which is a custom-made, handmade spell packet that I'm going to craft on behalf of my patrons, everybody at the Empress level and above. If that's something that you feel you're interested in, then you can subscribe to my mailing list. You can drop me a DM, you can drop me an email, and I can give you a little bit more information. For those of you who have been thinking about joining group services through the community, the Patreon community, where I offer readings every month, where I offer new moon services and full moon services every month, plus special classes and courses and special offers like this spell packet. If you've been thinking about joining, then the deadline to sign up is going to be the last day of the month, which is Wednesday, July 31st. So sign up before then. If you're on Instagram, there's a link to the Patreon community in my bio. You can always drop me a line with questions via email. I'm happy to answer your questions. the last thing is coming up on Tuesday, August 6th, those of you in the Austin area, I'm going to be teaching a spell class. It's on basic candle magic in the American folk tradition. So covering lots of fun aspects concerning preparing your candles and everything that you need to know for casting a basic spell with candle magic. That's going to be taking place at Yarrow and Sage, the local witches cooperative here in Austin, Texas. Tickets are already on sale, and those tickets are only online. So those are already on sale. They're linked in my bio, and they're linked on the Yarrow and Sage website. And you can get those online, and that's going to be a fun class. I hope to see you here. So let's move on to the questions that have been submitted. Okay, first question. Your thoughts on grounding and centering practices. So my thoughts on grounding and centering practices. A lot of the energy work that I do, that I tend to gravitate towards, is pretty old school and pretty simple, because I find that if you are able to put enough energy and intention into your visualizations and into your energy work through visualizing, and if you are already somewhat developed in terms of feeling and knowing and understanding how energy moves through your body, then elaborate practices are not necessary. Really simple practices can be very effective, and they can become very effective for you in a really short amount of time when you practice. So the grounding technique that I most often practice is simply laying flat on the ground and taking some deep breaths. And as I exhale all unwanted or old and stagnant energy out of my body and release it into the earth, and imagine it, see it, feel it going down into the center of the earth where it is absorbed and transmuted. And then as I inhale, I pull up from the earth fresh, vibrant, sparkling new energy to revive my body. And that is really helpful for me with grounding my energy. It's not a classic or traditional grounding technique. A traditional grounding technique would be to imagine an anchor or a crystal or roots, either coming down from your root chakra and going down into the earth to ground and anchor you, or imagining roots coming out of your feet or connecting your feet to the earth. So there's lots of ways to practice grounding. For those of you who recently, hi, Mrs. Tadpole, for those of you who recently took part in my online mystic course, which took place in July through the Patreon page, and which is now available to the public, you learned some of these grounding techniques, right? So I don't think that this person is really asking me what are good grounding techniques. I think they're asking me what my thoughts are on grounding techniques. And my thoughts are that they are very useful for centering your energy. Being centered within yourself and being centered within your energy is very important for any kind of spiritual practice. It's also going to offer you more clarity in your daily life, more clarity in the decisions that you make in your daily life, more clarity and calmness, and more ability to really be in the moment. It's also going to really assist you with being whole within yourself. And what I mean by being whole within yourself, I mean being centered with your core self, being centered with your authentic self, being centered with who you really are at a soul level, which in turn is going to lead you to being more in alignment with your higher self. In other words, your purpose or your destiny. So these small activities like grounding really add up to much larger long-term benefits, which make a huge difference in our overall life. Another reason to implement grounding into your daily practice or your weekly practice or your spiritual practice in general is that if you're somebody who is highly psychic, or you're somebody who is a spiritual channel, for instance, or working with a lot of energy in general, such as practicing magic on a regular basis, then you're going to want to, or you're going to need to at times, to kind of become more centered in your energy, to ground in your energy. So what grounding does is really energetically stabilize you, energetically root you, energetically center you, calm you. It's a way to consciously bring your energy into a focal point that allows you to feel and to be more stable and more centered. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that this is not just something which happens to you or happens with you mentally or metaphysically. This is something that works with the actual energy fields of your body and the energy that is flowing through your chakra system, the energy that you are in tune with or need to be in tune with or are working with for any kind of spiritual purpose or any kind of magic. So even if you're just somebody who's doing a lot of meditation or a lot of prayer, it's still going to be helpful for you to implement some grounding into your practice just to keep you centered. Hi, Taxidermy Witch. Thanks for stopping by. Hi. Okay, so other thoughts on grounding. Grounding is not just for you physically. It's not just for your physical self or your physical body or for you individually. You can also practice grounding for a space. You can practice grounding for your altar. You can practice grounding for a specific room, like the room that you do your spiritual work in. You can practice grounding for your home. This is something that you can do for a place or a person or a specific thing anytime that the energy is scattered, anytime that you feel things have become chaotic, anytime that you psychically or spiritually or intuitively or empathically sense that energy is kind of scattering around instead of being calm and centered and steady and focused, right? So particularly important for anyone performing spiritual work or magic, particularly helpful for an altar space, things of that nature. If anyone has any other questions or any specific questions about grounding, feel free to let me know. Next question. Do you have to see an angel number several times to take it as your message? You do not have to see an angel number several times to take it as your message. There are a couple of different ways to see this. And the first thing is that a lot of people feel, sorry, I'm just taking care of something on YouTube here. Okay, so a lot of people feel that you have to see a sign 3 times in order for it to be a significant sign for you, or in order to know for sure that it is your sign. That's one way to look at it. That's valid. But also, if you see a specific number or a specific sign at a really pertinent time, that can be even more valid. Perhaps you had something specific on your mind and you had a question on your mind that you're trying to solve, or you're trying to gain some guidance for, or some insight into, and then you see this sign at that moment. Perhaps you're on your way to something that is really important for you, or that you've been contemplating a lot, or that's been taking up a lot of your energy, and you see the sign at that time, then that's going to be really important for you. So it's my opinion and my belief that more importantly than the number of times you see a sign, when you see the time, when you see the sign and how it affects you, that is the thing that is most significant for you. All right, next question. Ways to remove a dead attached spirit sent by someone to you for harm. So this person is asking me about a situation where somebody has sent a deceased spirit to attach itself to you and to harm you or wreak havoc in your life. There are a few different ways to approach this, but if this is a serious situation where you are being drained of energy and your life is being disrupted in significant ways, or if you are just not feeling well, then you will need to seek professional help. You're going to need to seek assistance from someone outside of you to help you. And for instance, a practitioner of Palo, that is going to be an individual who is really adept at such things and will be really skilled in removing an attached spirit. If you feel confident and secure that you can handle this on your own, then there are some really potent ingredients that are not that hard to get your hands on that are helpful for such things. Rue, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others, is the most powerful herb to remove any kind of unwanted spirit attachment, including any kind of negative or unwanted energy outside of the spirit attachments. It is believed that no spirit can remain within the presence of Rue. So one of the things that I like to recommend, if you feel confident that you can handle this on your own and you don't need outside assistance, is to brew a strong tea of Rue and strain that tea, let it cool, add it to your bath water. So a Rue bath. You can add other ingredients which are also powerful and will assist you. A really simple recipe would be sea salt, kosher sea salt added to that, as well as black coffee. Black coffee is unblocking and uncrossing, whereas the Rue is going to remove the spirit, and the sea salt will assist with removing spiritual energy or energy from a spirit, as well as assist with protection. So that's one way to go. I would also recommend, after a deep cleansing like that, and I would recommend that you repeat that. If this is a serious situation, you really feel that there is a spirit attached to you that is causing you harm, then I would repeat that for 3, 6, or 9 days. And then I would recommend some prayers for protection after each bath, as well as lighting a white candle and asking for illumination and asking for that protection. Okay, moving on to the next question. Okay, so somebody is asking about a specific relationship. They're asking about a guy that they are speaking to. They want to know, is he using them? They say, is he using me? And he says that he loves me. So the first thing is, I don't do personal readings in these live sessions, and I don't do specific advice about specific relationships. However, I can tell a couple of things by looking at this question. One, you don't trust this guy. So I would advise you to trust your intuition, because you don't trust this guy. So there's a reason that you don't trust him. Maybe you have fears. Maybe you have past fears that you need to get through. So take some time to assess this. Assess, are your anxieties about this situation, is your mistrust about this situation coming from a place of fear, having to do with past relationships that you haven't healed from, or past traumas that you haven't gotten over? Or, is there a reason? Is this your intuition speaking? Is there a reason not to trust this person? I get the feeling that this is your intuition and there is a reason not to trust this person. You're saying he says he loves me. What this tells me is you don't feel that he loves you. You don't feel the love. He's saying one thing, but you're not feeling it. You're picking up from him emotionally and with your emotional intelligence or your emotional energy, that there is no feeling of love there. There is no, you're not connecting to any energy of love. So that tells you he's saying one thing, but his actions or his energy doesn't match up to that. So listen to your own intuition. Next question. What are your favorite ways to build up spiritual endurance for this work and stay grounded? My favorite ways to build up spiritual endurance for this work and stay grounded. So I do a lot of really simple things that are really effective and that go a long way. My first favorite thing is to spend time in nature. It's really the best grounding technique for me personally, and I think it's the best grounding technique for a lot of people. And it's easy. Spend time in nature. Put your feet on the ground. If you can be barefoot in the grass or on the ground, that's excellent. If you can go swimming, it's an excellent way to spiritually and energetically cleanse you. If you can spend some time in the sun, it's an excellent way to energetically cleanse you as well as to revive and revitalize you. The sun is a powerful purifier. Of course, stay safe, right? I live in Texas. It's 100 degrees here every day this time of year or more. So, don't go out in the middle of the day in Texas and sit in the sun for an hour. But, safely and when appropriate and in small doses, it's incredibly effective. Even if you can just sit in the sun for like 10 minutes in the morning, it's going to go a long way for cleansing and grounding you. Meditation is my favorite way to stay grounded, stay centered, stay in alignment with myself, stay in alignment with my spiritual connection, stay in alignment with my higher self. I do a lot of chakra work. So I would consider this to be more energy work. That is done through visualization and through moving energy through my body. For me, chakra work goes a long, long way in keeping me, not just keeping me spiritually in tune, but really allowing me to be spiritually in tune and really allowing me to be connected and allowing me to not only further my spiritual gifts and my spiritual connection, but also to maintain them. So chakra work is something I definitely recommend. Meditation, spending time in nature, and then just practice. When I first started performing spell work and performing readings and performing these things for others on a wider scale, professional level, I could not do nearly as much as I do now. So a lot of this is practice as well. Practice will definitely build up your stamina, but yeah, you have to take good care of yourself. And it's not just about spiritual activities to take care of yourself. You have to get enough sleep. You have to take care of yourself mentally and emotionally. You have to have creative outlets. You have to have social outlets. You have to have a nice balanced schedule where you get time off and get to do things that are fun. You have to eat well. You have to drink lots of water, So just taking good care of yourself is also going to take you a long way in being able to build up and maintain your spiritual energy and your spiritual stamina. Another person asking a personal question. Am I on the right path for my career, or should I go back to school for my PhD in my field? So again, I don't do personal readings or answer specific questions about specific life topics in these chats. But what I will tell you from what I can see here is that you want to go back to get your PhD. And you have the intuition that it's going to be something that is useful for you. You want growth, you want to expand, but there's some kind of fear keeping you from going and getting this PhD. So set the fear aside. Courage is being able to Courage is allowing yourself to act even though you are fearful. Everyone gets fearful of things. Being courageous doesn't mean that you don't have any fear. Being courageous means that you act in spite of the fear. So set the fear aside and go ahead and allow yourself, give yourself permission to go and get this PhD, because it's obvious that you want to do it and you have the intuition that it's the right thing for you to do, but there's something that is holding you back. There's some kind of fear that is holding you back. So get rid of the fear or work through the fear. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here. Nice to see you. I also wanted to say hi to Tenacious TJ. Nice to see you here. I just have a couple of more early bird questions to get through before I move on to taking your live questions if you have them. Welcome all of the new faces. I'm happy to see you here. Hi, Maryland Blue. Maryland Blue, hi. Attraction in a Box, thanks for being here. Okay, so the next question is, what is the best way for a medium to prevent themselves from spirit attachments? All right, so I've got a few tips to give for this. Hi, Forever Peculiar. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you. Okay, so I do have a few tips for mediums to keep themselves safe and free from spiritual attachment. I do want to say that the perspective that I'm coming from is a spiritualist perspective, and that is spiritualism as influenced by a spiritismo, because in the culture that I practice in, with the people that I practice in, the two traditions are very much intertwined, and that's just the way that I have been taught. So the first thing is, we create for ourselves. I'm a medium in the spiritualist tradition. That's one of the things that I do. So I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my personal practice and how I was taught to keep myself safe. Safe meaning free from unwanted spiritual attachments. So the first thing that we do is we prepare for ourselves a cleansing water. And I can't tell you all of the ingredients of the cleansing water that I prepare and that I use. Some of the ingredients are secret, but I can tell you that the main ingredient is basil. And it's really, a lot of people just call this basil water, right? And I just call it my cleansing water. And the important thing is that you work this with your hands. You work this with your hands, a big fresh bunch of basil inside of spring water, and you work this with your hands and you pray over it for as long as you need to until a good amount of that basil is released into the water and the water is a nice, beautiful green color. Now, to that, you can add other ingredients that you would like to use. This can be a formula that is really made to be personal to you. So you can add different colognes, you can add different Florida waters, you can add all kinds of other ingredients that are really, that resonate with you and that you feel are powerful for you. Before you sit down to work on your mediumship or to practice your mediumship, you should have that cleansing water with you. You should have some Florida water with you, a fireproof container, like a bowl, a metal bowl, or very strong ceramic, and something underneath it that is going to absorb heat. You will need to have a white candle with you and a lighter. And before you practice your mediumship, you want to cleanse yourself with the cleansing water. It is sufficient to just cleanse the back of your neck and your hands. If you want to take it further, you would cleanse your forearms, and you could sprinkle some on the top of your head, maybe even over your forehead. So having yourself spiritually, physically cleansed is important for the practice. When you enter into your trance states, or when you begin to call in spirits or communicate with the spirits, you want to set the intention and you want to verbalize the intention that you're looking for specific kinds of spirits. Now, some people do work with spirits purposefully that need spiritual evolution. In fact, part of the practice in the tradition that I'm in is to work with spirits in a way that the relationship is mutually beneficial for the spiritual evolution of both individuals, meaning the spirit and the person. That means that you can attract spirits that are not very evolved. Then it is up to you if you want to work with those spirits or not. The reason that I'm explaining this kind of backstory or this context is because you want to set an intention and verbalize that intention out loud that is right for you. So if you only want to work with spirits that are already evolved because you don't want to mess around with sorting out these spirits that need evolution, then you need to set that intention. Some people set the intention that they only want to call forth or work with spirits that are of love and light. They only want to work with spirits that are high-level spirit guides that are already so evolved that they're only here to help us. This is a personal practice. There are lots of different ways to do this. I'm not of the mindset that you have to do it any one way, but I am of the mindset that you need to be educated about what you're doing, and you need to know how to purify yourself, and you need to know how to protect yourself. So set your intention about the kind of spirits that you want to communicate with. That's step number 2. Don't set the intention in the negative. Don't say something like, I don't want these kind of spirits. State what you do want. If that's a spirit of love and light, if that's a spirit that is a high-level spirit guide, if that's a spirit that is already spiritually involved, if that's evolved, if that's a spirit that is specifically there to offer you guidance, messages, and insight, whatever it may be. If you are doing this kind of work, you should already have a relationship with your ancestors or with some other kind of guide. So that should already be a part of your regular practice. You should be asking them for protection. That should be a part of your practice. So before you even sit down to do this stuff, you should have already asked for your daily protection or your daily support. Another way to get protection before going into this kind of activity or this kind of practice would be to ask pure universal energy to come into you and to reinforce your energetic boundaries and to offer you additional protection and support. When you are practicing your mediumship, you should not enter into any kind of extended communication or any kind of extended interaction with any spirit that gives you a strange feeling, or any spirit that you recognize right away that you don't want to be in contact with, or anything that just feels off to you. So if something like that occurs where something feels off, something doesn't feel quite right, or you just know this isn't a spirit that you want to continue a relationship with, you immediately dismiss them. You tell them thank you and goodbye, thank you and goodbye, thank you and goodbye. You bring yourself out of it. You light your white candle and pray to your ancestors or your guides for spiritual purification and protection. You put your Florida water in the fireproof bowl and you light that. You light the Florida water to purify your space, purify your spiritual energy of yourself and your space, and then pray over that candle. If you've never done this type of purification with Florida water before, then it may be slightly surprising to you that it's going to be quite a fire. So don't worry, as long as your container is fireproof and as long as there's something underneath it to absorb the heat, it's not dangerous. As long as it's on a sturdy table and there's nothing near it that's going to light on fire, it's not dangerous at all, and it will go out on its own. So you just pray over that candle and over that fire while it burns and allow it to go out. It's going to go out in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes or less. The next thing about keeping yourself safe as a medium is, so in a lot of traditions, one of the points or one of the major tenets of being a medium is that you're going to be entering into long-term relationships, long-term spiritual relationships with spirits, whether they are guides or not. Again, I already talked about there are different intentions for this. So you want to be sure that any spirit you enter into any kind of consistent communication with, any kind of consistent relationship with, is one that you can actually trust. The way that you're going to know that you can trust them is that you've communicated with them more than like 3 or 4 times, and that they've been consistent in their communication and in the kind of information and in the kind of energy you feel from them each time. In other words, you're going to need to build trust with them, and they're going to need to give you some kind of evidence that they are benevolent and that they are evolved enough that they can be helpful for you and that the relationship is going to be a positive relationship. So you're going to look for that kind of evidence before entering in any kind of long-term relationship or communication with the spirit. So those are the basic tenets for keeping yourself safe as a medium, but particularly as a medium in the traditions of spiritualism and spiritismo. Another thing that you're going to want to do is regular cleansings of yourself. And when I say regular cleansings of yourself, I'm not talking about something that you do once a week or once a month. I'm talking about cleansing, protection, purification should be a part of your daily habits. And then there should be something that you do that is a larger kind of purification at least once a week. Okay, I have your question written down, Yadi, I think. Yeah. The next question is, what's a good schedule for actual food offerings for ancestors? Weekly, monthly, etc. So, for someone like you, Yadi, who already has a relationship with a primary ancestor, you can give food offerings more often because you already have established that strong relationship with your primary ancestor guide. So you can give offerings once a week. That's actually perfect. And then you're going to want to give special offerings or more offerings on special days, like a birthday or a feast day or a holiday, or when you're just performing some additional or special spiritual work or some additional or special rituals, right? So that's perfect. Now, if this question, so I'm going to repeat the question. What's a good day for actual food offerings for ancestors, weekly, monthly, etc.? If you're somebody who hasn't yet developed a strong, trusting relationship and hasn't received evidence of a primary ancestor guide, then you don't want to be giving any food offerings at all. But once you have established that relationship and established that trust and established that identity, then you can begin to give weekly offerings and larger offerings on special occasions. Last question, and then I'll start answering the questions that you have been submitting. What spiritual things can I do to increase my physical energy? I have a stressful job. I have no energy for other activities, even cleaning the house or doing spiritual work or getting out of the house to socialize. So the first thing that I tell people in a situation like this is that you need to be sure that you are addressing your situation from a holistic perspective. That means addressing your situation from a physical perspective, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So when you tell me that your energy is so low that you're not able to clean the house and you're not able to get out of the house for activities, then I'm a little bit concerned about you. I would say that it's really important for you to address your physical health first. Make sure, hi Ruth, thanks for joining. Make sure that you don't have any kind of vitamin deficiencies. Make sure that you don't have any kind of mineral deficiencies. Make sure that you're getting enough vitamin D, that you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, that you're drinking enough water, that you're sleeping enough at night, right? I know this is basic information, but really, truly, this is the foundation of your health. This is for the foundation of your spiritual health as well. So you've got to rule out these factors if you want to address things from a holistic perspective. After you've done that, spend some time outside. Spend some time outside every day. Even if you can only sit outside for like 10 minutes a day, try to get some fresh air and some sunlight. And even if you can only do that by sitting or standing next to a window, do that. It will make a difference. I know these sound like tiny or basic things, but they will make a difference for you. The next thing that's really important, in my opinion, is a meditation practice to increase your energy. The way and the reason that it will increase your energy is because it's going to offer you more mental clarity, and it's going to offer you a relief from this stress. Meditation actually changes your brain waves, which has been proven to relieve stress and relieve anxiety. So it will help with this stressful lifestyle. I have had many times throughout my life when I have worked multiple jobs. I worked 4 jobs in order to get this business off the ground. I worked 2 to 4 jobs for 2 years straight, 7 days a week, to get this business off the ground. So there have been times in my life where I have worked really hard. I still work really hard, and where I have had limited time to take care of myself, or I've had to really pay attention to my sleep schedule. I remember when I was in college and I was working 3 jobs and going to school full time, and sometimes I could only sleep for 5 or 6 hours a night. Because of how hectic my schedule was. And there are some things that I implemented during that time and during times like this that were very, very helpful for me and that I think will be helpful for you. One of the things that I did was really focus on my sleep schedule and really make my rest and my sleep schedule like a ritual. And I had a lot of anxiety because of how stressful my routine was. So one of the things I would do when I laid down at night is I would imagine my head in the lap of the goddess. I would imagine beautiful goddess, creator of the universe, and that she was sitting there cross-legged and my head was on her lap and she was comforting me and I was secure and safe and cared for and nurtured there. And then I would speak to my subconscious mind and I would tell my subconscious mind, I intend to get a good night's sleep. And even though I only have limited hours that I'm able to sleep, I intend that this sleep is going to be deep and powerful and refreshing and renewing, and that I'm going to wake up in the morning revitalized and re-energized and new and refreshed and full of vitality. And I would really ask my subconscious mind, work with me on this. Like, this is my intention. I know you have the power to do this. So please work with me on this and let's get this done. And I found it to be really helpful. Other things that I did was I created a morning routine for myself, even though it was really hard for me to get up in the morning when I was getting so little sleep and my schedule was so hectic. I created a morning routine for myself that was really about nurturing me and allowing me to have some time to myself, and allowing me to feel like I had time to care for myself. Even if I had only 15 minutes or 20 minutes or a half hour to do some things that were nurturing and caring for me, it would go a long way towards helping me have a better day. So those morning time and nighttime rituals are really important and a really excellent time to add some spiritual work into your life that's going to help you be nurtured, grounded, centered, stay focused, be refreshed, etc. And a couple of the things that I did in the morning were some really simple yoga stretches, a prayer at my altar, a prayer of gratitude, thanking all of the elements for the energy that they bring into my life. Like I would light a candle and say, thank you, fire, for your vitality, for your creativity. I would have a bowl of water and I would say, thank you for your cleansing energies. Thank you for your spiritual energies. Thank you for the connection that you allow me. These kinds of things. So I would have a physical representation of all of the elements on my altar, and I would all. So this was a prayer of gratitude. And I would do a really short meditation while I drank my tea in the morning. I would do some really simple, short yoga stretches. And that was enough to help me feel nourished and centered and to have a good day on like 5 hours of sleep. So I hope that's helpful. There's a lot of questions here and not a lot of time left. So let me see what I can get through. Okay. I'm glad to hear that you used Rue Yeti. I think that was most likely really powerful for you. If you continue to feel that you need that, then I would suggest that you repeat it. All right. I think so Yadi is talking about giving offerings to her ancestors, and she says she gives fruits and sweets on the first Saturday of the month. I think that's an excellent time to do it. Yadi, I wouldn't give fruit or sweets to all of your ancestors. I would only give those food offerings to the ancestor that you have created that strong relationship with, or the ancestors that you have created that strong relationship with, that you already have trust with, and that you already know who they are. And I would be careful when you put out food offerings that you have a very specific verbal intention for who those offerings are going to, because you don't want to attract other spirits that are like, woo, free offerings, and then they're hanging around to feed off of that energy. I usually only give fruit and sweets. Do you suggest any other types of food? I suggest the types of food that you feel your ancestor likes. So you use your intuition and use your connection with your ancestor for that. Something that seems to be universally beneficial is black coffee. So I would recommend that regardless, you add some black coffee to that. One other question I have is, how can I find a Spiritismo mentor or teacher? Look in your local area. I know not everyone lives in the same kind of area that I live in. I've got a little bit of privilege there. I'm living in Austin, Texas. It's very diverse, very spiritual, very liberal. I've been able to find those kinds of connections here. Look for a spiritualist church. There are spiritualist churches hidden all over the country. So look for a spiritualist church and then start going there. See if you can meet up with some people. If not, then try Meetup. Try the app Meetup. See if you can find some people there practicing spiritualism or spiritismo. If not, maybe start your own group. Start your own group for people who want to study spiritualism and a spiritismo, and then just start learning together. It's not necessarily going to get you a mentor or a teacher right away, but it's going to offer you a community to learn with. And something that I've learned is that when people are learning and developing together, it really creates this effect where it enhances everybody's abilities, and you all kind of start to feed off of each other and grow together. Not feed off of each other by like, not in an energy vampire kind of way, but in a very symbiotic kind of way. being around other people who are growing and developing really accelerates the growth and development of everybody. So that would be really beneficial to you if you're not able to find a mentor or teacher. Let me see what questions are over here. I thought I saw some questions here. I'm looking on IG. Okay. Are there certain days that you need to do spells on? Yeah, there are days of the week that are going to correspond to different planetary energy, which is in turn going to correspond to your different intentions for your spell work. Those days of the week change according to different traditions. So like in folk magic, they'd be different. In hoodoo, they're different. In Santeria, they're different. In witchcraft or Wicca, they're slightly different. But there are some general rules or correspondences that tend to be universal, like Fridays are for love. Thursdays are great days for money. Sundays are a great day for cleansing or for spiritual growth, etc. I like Mondays for unblocking. So do a little bit of research about that. That's something that's really easy to Google. There's lots of information out there about that. You don't have to, though. You don't have to do spells on certain days of the week. I don't always do those correspondences. Sometimes things just need to get done when they need to get done. And I find that when I work intuitively, I'm often performing the spell work or the spiritual work on the day of the week that corresponds to it anyway. Someone's asking, am I available for a reading today? My readings are scheduled in advance. They're scheduled at least 48 hours in advance. You can go to my website, which is linked in my bio, or you can drop me a line by email, inquiries@missmelinda.com, and we can schedule a reading. They're scheduled in advance. I think those were all of the questions. If anybody else has any questions right now about your spiritual development, your spiritual practice, your spiritual path, developing your spiritual path, connecting to your ancestors, your spirit guides, your guardian spirits, practicing magic, meditation, anything like this or related to this, I am happy to answer your questions. We've got about 10 minutes. We've got about 8 minutes left in this chat, so I've probably got time for a couple of more questions. Go ahead and throw them out there. How do you connect with spirit? So big question, Linda. Big question. I would need a little bit more context for your question. When you say spirit, are you talking about spirit with a big S? Are you talking about the spirit, the source? Are you talking about source? Are you talking about God? Are you talking about the universe? Or are you talking about spirits with a little s? The way that I personally connect with spirit, you know what? I can't even narrow that down. There's so many ways to connect with spirit, and it's going to be personal to you. The source, right? Do you have any favorite books on developing your spiritual path? I'm looking over here because I had brought a stack of books with me in case there was one of them that was relevant to a question to talk about. But none of these ones that I have right in front of me are my favorite ones for developing your spiritual path. I have a list of book recommendations on my website, and you can find it there. There's a blog on my website, missmelindasmetaphysicalservices.com, and I have a list of book recommendations there. So all of my favorite books for developing your spiritual path, and in addition to all kinds of other favorite books for other areas of spiritual development, are listed there as well. So you guys are like, question. How do you connect to spirit? So it's going to be something that's really personal to you. And, spirit is everywhere. Source is everywhere. It's in nature. It's inside of you. Spirit is there when you meditate. Spirit is there when in your dreams, when you go to sleep at night. The way that you connect to spirit is something that's personal to you, and that is going to work in conjunction with your spiritual gifts and your intuition, and however your spiritual gifts or your intuition work for you. So the first thing that I always recommend is that you begin to learn how your specific intuition works, how your spiritual connection works. Some people are going to be more prone to feeling spiritual energy and being able to channel that energy through their body. That is one of the primary ways that I connect with and work with spirit. Some people are going to be more prone to seeing messages, seeing visions and receiving messages that way. Some people are going to be more prone to or more in alignment with receiving messages through nature oracles and connecting with spirit through nature. So you've got to start figuring out how this stuff works for you, what senses are the strongest for you, how your intuition works. Your intuition is really the gateway to your spiritual connection and as well as to your psychic development. And these things are all connected in the way that you relate to spirit and connect with spirit. So you've got to start getting to know how your intuition works, and then that's going to take you it's going to take you down a path that's going to allow you to develop further and further and to create, or not even create, but really be open to receiving and nurturing this spiritual connection. And I just did a class through my Patreon site. The light started flashing. Sorry, that was weird. I just did a class through my Patreon site. It's called the Mystic Course, and it's about connecting to your intuition and your intuition as the gateway to your psychic abilities and your spiritual connection. And that course is now available via my website. So if that sounds like something that you would like some help with, that is something that I have available. The course takes you through several different guided meditations that I created, 3 lectures, a workbook, and supplementary material that assists you with identifying what your intuition is, accessing that intuition, and then going deeper into it in order to develop your psychic abilities, which in turn assists you with developing and deepening your spiritual connection and living a life that is more in alignment with your spiritual connection and therefore more in alignment with your higher purpose and your higher self. Okay, looks like we're coming to an end, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of your questions. I always look forward to these sessions with you. I enjoy all of your questions and I enjoy our conversations together. So thank you so much and stay blessed. Don't forget, these are happening every Sunday, 3 p.m. United States Central Standard Time on YouTube and Instagram. And on Instagram, you always have a chance to submit early questions. Much love to you, Ruth. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Many blessings. Take care. Bye-bye. Stay blessed.